If you own a home right now and you are ready to buy your next one in Henrico County, Virginia, you are probably sitting with a question that nobody has given you a straight answer to yet. How do you sell one home and buy another home at the exact same time without ending up in a hotel, without carrying two mortgages, and without the whole thing just blowing up and falling apart because the timing on one side does not match the timing on the other side? Now, friends, that question is what sends people back to the house that they have already outgrown one more time, one more year, because the process feels too risky to navigate without someone who has done it before. Y'all, this video is the answer to that question. By the time we are done, you're going to understand exactly how buying and selling a home simultaneously works, what your real options are, which path makes the most sense for your situation, and how to protect yourself at every step so that both sides of the transaction close cleanly and you walk into one front door directly from the last front door. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonali Hutson, and I help self-employed Christians in Henrico County coordinate buying and selling simultaneously without stress or chaos to upgrade their home and their lifestyle using my Homeownership God's Way blueprint. And y'all, if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. Make sure you subscribe and stay a while because I'm going to bring you real estate in a real way every single week. Now today we're walking through all 7 steps of the Homeownership God's Way blueprint mapped specifically to the sell and buy simultaneously scenario, including the 3 paths that most people never fully understand before they get started, and exactly how we navigate whichever one is right for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, talking about my Home Ownership God's Way blueprint, the first step is the foundation. And what we do here is get completely clear on your full picture before anything else moves, okay? What does your current home need to produce at closing? What kind of home are you stepping into? Is it a resale, a new construction, something else entirely? What does your timeline actually require, and what has to happen in what order for both transactions to close cleanly? This is a step where we're gonna map everything out on one document so you can see exactly how the 2 sides of your move connect. Because once you can see the full picture, this stops feeling like an impossible juggling act and starts feeling like a plan. Now, the second step is going to be financial readiness. And if y'all know me, y'all know this has to be included. This is where we remove the fear that has probably been living quietly in the background since you first started thinking seriously about making a move. We're going to get clear on what your current home is worth, what you're going to net at closing, and how that number positions you for your purchase. We're going to connect you with a lender who knows how to qualify a buyer who is selling one home and buying another simultaneously, because that is a different conversation than a standard purchase, and not every lender knows how to navigate this, okay? We're going to also talk through your financing options based on which path you're taking, because the financing strategy for a new construction purchase looks different than it does for a resale purchase, and knowing that early on is going to save you from some very expensive surprises later. Now, the third step in my Homeownership God's Way blueprint is to prepare the house, and this principle is very simple. Every dollar you leave on the table when you sell your current home is a dollar that does not come with you into your next season. We walk through your home together the way a buyer is going to see it. We're going to identify what needs attention before it goes to market. We're going to bring in professional photography and make sure your home goes live looking its absolute best, because you've built real equity in your house and every dollar of it belongs to you in your next chapter. Now, the fourth step of the Home Ownership God's Way blueprint is list and launch. And before we get into that one, I want to talk about the 3 paths, because understanding them is what makes everything in this step help make sense for you, okay? Now, when it comes to selling and buying at the same time, there are really only 3 ways that this can go. And most agents are going to push people toward the easiest one without ever explaining why it might not be the best fit for everybody. Now, the first path is to sell first and then buy. You list your home, you sell it, you close, you take the equity, and then you start shopping for your next home. Now, most people end up here not because it's the smartest move, but because it's the path of least resistance. The problem is that you are moving twice. You are paying rent while you shop. And in a market like Henrico County, where the homes are moving fast, you could watch prices climb while you're sitting on the sidelines waiting. I don't want that for you, and I'm sure you don't want that for yourself. Now, the second path is to buy first and then sell your current home. Now, that sounds great until you realize that most buyers cannot qualify for 2 mortgages simultaneously. And even if you can, you are carrying 2 payments, 2 sets of utilities, and twice the stress until your first home sells. I have had clients come to me after trying this route, and by month 3, the financial pressure had taken over everything, and you don't want that if you can avoid it. Now, the third path is a simultaneous close, and this this is what the Homeownership God's Way blueprint is really built around. You're gonna sell your current home and buy your next one on the same day or as close to it as possible. You're gonna move once. The equity from your sale is gonna roll directly into your purchase. You shouldn't have to have a storage unit or rental, or you shouldn't have to carry 2 mortgages. It's gonna take a lot of coordination and an agent like me who knows how to structure both sides so that one closing does not blow up the other closing. But when it works, and y'all, it definitely works, it's the cleanest and least stressful way through this move by far. Now let's get back to listing and launching. This is where the coordination between your 2 transactions has to be active and intentional every single day, because your marketing strategy on your current home cannot just be about generating offers. It has to be about generating the right offer from the right buyer whose motivation and closing timeline is going to align with your purchase on the other side. I'm managing the relationship between both transactions constantly, and I am at the negotiating table on your behalf with your net proceeds and your closing timelines as 2 things that I will not compromise on. Oh, and real quick before I keep going, if you are considering new construction specifically for your next home in Henrico County, I made a whole video on how to compare and evaluate builders before you commit to one, and I'm going to link that video right here, okay? Now y'all, that video is going to protect you from some very expensive mistakes before you ever sit down in a new construction sales office. Now the 5th step is find your land, and this is where we get completely intentional about what you are buying and what it's going to take you to get it. Whether you're buying a resale home, a new build, or something custom, the strategy here is the same. We're not just finding you a house, we're finding you the right house in the right community at the right terms for where your life is going next. I have relationships throughout Henrico County with listing agents, with builders, with communities, and those relationships give my clients access to information and leverage that buyers walking in alone simply are not going to have. This is also the step where your representation matters most, because the person on the other side of that transaction is representing the seller. You're going to need someone at that table who's representing you, and that's what I'm here to do. You guys have probably heard my story before. I got on the wrong bus in a city that I barely knew when I was 22 years old, and that wrong turn led me to a Christian stranger who changed the entire direction of my life. I eventually ended up in Hampton Roads, where I spent over a decade building everything from the ground up. And then God just recently told me to move again, back to Richmond, ironically where my story started. I know what it means to step toward the land you cannot fully see yet. And I built this entire practice around one thing: making sure that you never have to take that first step without someone in your corner who's walked that road before. Now the 6th step in my Homeownership God's Way blueprint is crossing the bridge. And this is where we protect you from the gap. The gap is the window between where your current home closes and where you take possession of your next home. And it's the thing that keeps most people frozen before they ever get started. Here's how we get ahead of that before it ever becomes a crisis. We're going to try to negotiate a leaseback agreement where you sell your current home and rent it back from the new buyer for a short period while you complete your purchase. That gives you the opportunity to stay in your home after the sale closes. The new buyer takes possession on their timeline, and you get the breathing room to close on the other side without any disruption to your life. Now, most lenders are going to allow up to 60 days on a leaseback, and for many clients, this closes the gap entirely. When a leaseback is not possible, bridge financing can provide short-term funding against your home's equity to cover the gap, but it carries higher costs, and we only use that as a backup, not as a first move. Now, my job in this step is to have my eyes on every date, every deadline, and every detail on both sides of your transaction so that you can be fully present for your family during one of the biggest moves of your life. In fact, guys, let me tell you about a couple that I worked with who came to me exactly in this place. They were so very overwhelmed. They were excited, but they were genuinely afraid about the timing that would not come together for them. Their current home went to market positioned precisely to attract buyers whose closing timeline aligned with their purchase on the other side. I was at the table with them through every negotiation, every inspection, every deadline, and when both closings happened simultaneously, they did not spend a single night in a hotel. They did not put a single box in storage. They walked from one front door directly to the next. That is what the Homeownership God's Way blueprint is designed to produce for every single person that we work with here at Hutson Realty Group. Now, the 7th step is possess and prosper. And this is where the season you've been believing God for actually begins. Your new home is move-in ready, and my role does not end at the closing table. We're going to coordinate your move. We're going to connect you to the Henrico County community, the churches, the neighbors, the places that are going to make this feel like home. And we're going to stay connected long after your last box is unpacked through monthly property valuations and an annual equity review on your closing anniversary. You're part of the Hutson Realty Group family for life. Now, picture the two of you pulling into your driveway for the very first time as owners of your new home. The dream home. The backyard with real room in it. The home office with a door that closes. The kitchen that finally holds everyone at dinner time. Both of you guys knowing exactly what it took to get there. And a quiet thank you between you and God because He showed up exactly the way He promised you He would. Right on time, right in the season that He had already prepared for you. Every day, people just like you reach out to me to help them coordinate the sale of their current home and the purchase of their next one in Henrico County. And I love talking to you guys. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can reach me via text at 757-837-0096. You can also comment below. I'd love to connect with you. Friends, I appreciate you taking the time to understand my home ownership God's Way blueprint. Of course, I just gave you a high-level overview. Your support for my channel absolutely means the world to me. Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to comment. And if you know someone who's looking to sell their home and buy their next one in Henrico County or the greater Richmond area, definitely have them get in touch with me. Again, I can be reached at 757-837-0096, or you can just click the link in the description to get in touch with me. I absolutely appreciate your support, my friends. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching my channel. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.